A male patient is lying in bed at the hospital wearing an oxygen mask over his mouth and nose. A young student female nurse appears and begins to give him a partial sponge bath. As she dips a washcloth into the water and begins to gently wash his arms and chest, he mumbles from behind the mask.
"Nurse, are my testicles black?"
His words hang awkwardly in the air, and the nurse's eyes widen, her face flushing bright red.
I'm just here to wash your upper body and feet, sir,"
she stammers. She resumes her task, trying to focus, but the man won't let it go. His breathing becomes a little more labored and he asks again, this time with a hint of urgency.
"Please, nurse, just check. Are my testicles black?"
The nurse hesitates, clearly torn. Reluctantly, she pulls back the bed covers, lifts his hospital gown, and takes a careful clinical look. After a moment, she straightens up, her face still burning with embarrassment.
"Everything looks perfectly fine, sir,"
she assures him. The patient blinks a few times, and then, with great effort, he slowly removes his oxygen mask. His lips curl into a faint smile as he says, deliberately and slowly,
"Thank you for checking. Now, listen very, very closely. Are my test results back?"
There was an officer of the Royal Navy named Captain Robinson who showed no fear when facing his enemies. One day while sailing the seven seas, his lookout spotted a pirate ship approaching, and the crew became frantic. Captain Robinson bellowed, "Bring me my red shirt!" The first mate quickly retrieved the captain's red shirt, and while wearing the brightly colored garment, the captain led his crew into battle and defeated the mighty pirates. That evening, all the men sat around on deck recounting the triumph of earlier. One of them asked the captain, "Sir, why did you call for your red shirt before battle?" The captain replied, "If I were to be wounded in the attack, the shirt would not show my blood. Thus you men would continue to fight unafraid." All the men sat and marveled at the courage of such a manly man's man. As dawn came the next morning, the lookout spotted not one, not two, but 10 pirate ships approaching. The crew stared in worshipful silence at the captain and waited for his usual orders. Captain Bravado gazed with steely eyes upon the vast armada arrayed against his ship and, without fear, turned and calmly shouted, "Bring me my brown pants!" An American decides to spend his vacation in London. Being an avid rower, he eagerly rents a boat for a peaceful day of rowing on the Thames. After a while, the gentle rocking of the boat and the warmth of the sun lull him into a nap. He leans back, eyes closed, utterly relaxed, as the boat drifts aimlessly. When he wakes up, he realizes that his oars have slipped out of the boat and are now nowhere to be seen. Panicking, he sits up and scans the river desperately. In the distance, he spots another boat making its way upriver. A man is rowing with 2 women sitting calmly as passengers. The man's heart leaps with hope. Jumping to his feet, he waves his arms frantically and shouts, "Hey, over here! Help!" The man rowing the boat, a proper Brit, notices the commotion and stands up in his own boat, peering over at the American. The American hollers across the water, "Can I borrow one of your oars?" The Brit looks back at him, puzzled for a moment, before shouting back,
"Them's ain't oars. Them's me sisters."
A man was hit by a car as he was crossing the road after leaving work for the day. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. He sent the following texts to his wife. "Honey, I got hit by a car outside the office. Tina brought me to the hospital. They have been taking tests and doing x-rays. The blow to my head is very strong, maybe serious. Also, I have 3 broken ribs, a broken arm, a compound fracture of my left leg, and they may have to amputate the right foot." His wife was extremely concerned and rather anxious about receiving his text messages. She immediately replied, "Who is Tina?" A well-worn $1 bill and a similarly distressed $100 bill find themselves side by side on the conveyor belt at the Federal Reserve, slowly inching toward their final destination, to be destroyed and replaced. As they slide along, the $100 bill starts reminiscing about its glamorous life on the road.
"I've had a pretty fantastic run,"
the $100 bill boasts, its voice full of pride.
"I've been everywhere. Las Vegas, where I was tossed on blackjack tables and slid into high roller slots. I've dined at 5-star restaurants in New York, felt the velvet seats of Broadway theaters, and even went on a luxurious cruise to the Caribbean. The food, the shows, the nightlife, it's been a whirlwind."
The $1 bill, looking a little embarrassed, nods along.
Wow, you've really had an exciting life,
It says, wide-eyed.
I can't even imagine living like that.
Curious, the $100 bill looks over and asks,
"So tell me, where have you been? What kind of adventures have you had?"
The $1 bill sighs, shifting uncomfortably.
Oh, you know, I've been to the Methodist Church, the Baptist Church, the Lutheran Church.
Before it can finish, the $100 bill interrupts, frowning in confusion.
"What's a church?"
A farmer has 3 sons. One day, his oldest comes to him and says that since he's graduating from high school, he would really like to get a car. His father says,
"Son, come here.
he takes him to the barn, points to the tractor and says,
This tractor's needed for the farm, and I promise, as soon as it's paid for, we'll get you a car."
The boy is not too happy about this, but is understanding. A week later, his second son approaches him wanting a new 2-wheel bike.
"Well,
The father says,
as soon as the tractor's paid for, we'll see about getting you your bike."
Shortly after, his youngest son is bugging him for a tricycle. Again, the father gives him the lecture about the tractor needing to be paid off first. While leaving the barn, the youngest boy, a little disgusted with his father's explanation, sees the farm rooster mating with one of the hens. He promptly goes over and kicks the rooster off the hen's back, mumbling to himself. His dad sees this and asks,
"Son, now why would you go do something like that? He didn't do anything to deserve that."
His son replies,
Hey, nobody around here rides anything until that damn tractor gets paid off.
An elderly man shuffles into his doctor's office for his annual checkup. As he settles in, the doctor, with a cheerful smile, begins the usual round of questions.
"So, Mr. Jenkins, how's the memory these days? Any issues remembering things?"
The old man chuckles, tapping his temple with a proud grin.
"Memory's sharp as ever, Doc. No cobwebs up here, I can tell you that much."
The doctor nods, scribbling something on his notepad.
"That's great to hear. How about your knees? Any trouble with stairs, getting around?"
Mr. Jenkins straightens up in his chair, puffing out his chest.
"Oh, the knees are doing just fine. Just last night, my wife and I went to this amazing Chinese restaurant. It's on the 2nd floor, and I'm telling you, I practically flew up those stairs."
Impressed, the doctor looks up from his notes.
You know, I'm a big fan of Chinese food myself. What's the name of this place? Maybe I'll give it a try this weekend."
Mr. Jenkins furrows his brow, deep in thought. He scratches his head, his face scrunched up in concentration.
"Let's see. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what's the name of that pretty red flower? The one with the thorns?"
The doctor raises an eyebrow, amused.
"You mean a rose?"
The old man's face lights up like a Christmas tree.
"Yes, that's it."
He turns toward the waiting room where his wife is sitting and shouts with all the enthusiasm of someone who's just cracked a riddle.
"Hey, Rose! What's the name of that Chinese restaurant we ate at last night?"
3 nuns die at the same time in a terrible car accident. Soon, they all appear in front of the gates of heaven to meet St. Peter. When they arrive, St. Peter informs them that those who lived a life of the cloth must answer some basic questions about theology before they are permitted to enter heaven. Each of the nuns has studied their Bible well, so they don't feel worried by this at all. The first nun steps forward and tells the saint that she's ready.
Who was the first woman?
St. Peter asks.
That's easy,
Exclaims the nun.
Eve was.
St. Peter smiles, the bells toll, then the gates of heaven open. The second nun, encouraged by her colleague's easy pass, steps forward and tells St. Peter that she's ready as well.
Who was the first man?
St. Peter asks.
Easy. Adam was the first man.
Says the nun excitedly. St. Peter smiles, the bells toll, and the gates of heaven open. The third nun is now confident that she won't have any trouble and steps up to face St. Peter's question.
What were Eve's first words to Adam?
He asks.
My, that's a hard one.
The nun replies worriedly. But St. Peter smiles, then. The bells toll and the gates of heaven open. It's Monday morning and little Johnny is late for school again. As he finally trudges into the classroom a half hour late, he attempts to make it to his seat unnoticed. The teacher, Miss Thompson, glances at the clock and then at Johnny, raising an eyebrow.
Johnny, you're late again. What happened this time?
Johnny, still panting, begins to explain with a dramatic sigh.
Oh, Miss Thompson, it was terrible. I left home with plenty of time to get here on schedule. But the sidewalks were so slippery from the rain that every step I took, I slipped 2 steps backward.
Miss Thompson gives him a skeptical look.
Really, Johnny? That sounds like quite an adventure. But if you were slipping backward more than you were moving forward, how did you manage to get here at all?
Undeterred, little Johnny confidently replies,
Well, Miss Thompson, after struggling for 20 minutes and realizing I wasn't getting anywhere, I decided to head back home.